We are not about to play tic-tac-toe. We are going to talk for just a few moments about how using a grid that looks like a tic-tac-toe can help your photos have just a little bit more power, a little bit more impact, a little bit more oomph. All right, so let's look at some photos as an example first. Let's start with a not so good example. This is one I took many years ago out in Rainier. It's a beautiful area, hard to really kind of go wrong out here. But what I've done is I've just completely split my horizon, and there's nothing exciting happening up above the mountain. It's just blue sky. It's pretty blue sky, but it's flat blue sky. There's no clouds there to give texture, nothing at all. What I should have done is use the rule of thirds to think about what areas of this image need emphasis and to assign those kind of into third section blocks. So what we can do now in Lightroom is we can click our little crop overlay, which very nicely overlays these rule of third lines. And using that and making sure the little lock is on, which keeps the aspect ratio as you shot. We'll talk more about that in a second. I can just kind of drag down and you can see our lines, and you want to position those so for maximum impact. Put what is the emphasis, what is the subject at either intersections or on the lines themselves or in the spaces, but don't keep things smack dab in the middle and horizon split dead across. Think about what is more powerful in the image. In this case, it's really this kind of field and flowers and wildflowers and green leading up to this massive mountain. And so I'm going to say that is a more powerful image. And I could probably even crop it down a little bit more. Obviously, it would have been better to shoot it with more of the foreground in place. You would have gotten even more of a perspective. We lose some of that perspective by just cutting out the sky, but it is still a better picture than just having it split straight up. Let's look at another example. This is a ring shot I shot last summer, and I'm quite proud of the way I'm always looking around when I have those rings for someplace, number one, safe, but kind of cool to shoot them. And there were these little metal stag statues on the mantle at the inn where the bride and groom were getting ready. And instead of putting the ring smack dab in the center and just having boringness kind of around it, you add a little bit of kind of impact or kinetic energy by putting them on the lines, and in this case even having the stag kind of looking into the photograph or into the empty area. And so again, you can see that these kind of all line up on these lines, and that is better and a little bit more powerful than if it was just smack dab in the middle. Moving on, we have an image shot in Costa Rica this past January, and in this case it really worked out nicely. I loved the sky, I loved the color of the water, I wanted to show some of the beach, and so I composed this so it basically each is split very near the third horizontal line. So the split of sand water is at the first and water sky is at the second. In this case there's nothing to line up on your vertical thirds, and that is fine. It's not always going to work out that way. Here's another example where I did not do the best job, mostly because I was freaking out thinking, oh my god, there's a monkey right here in front of me and I get to take a picture of it. But again, Lightroom to the rescue. We can crop this down and really eyes. If you can put eyes on a intersection line, most of the time that is going to make your image much better. And so right there. Now again, I personally would prefer it if I had shot it so that she was looking into the image, and we can move it over here. And actually I'm going to be careful not to cut off, so we're not exactly on the intersection line, but we're close. And I didn't want to cut off her little fingers down there. It's just about cut off. And now, again, a little bit of energy as she's looking into the scene. And I know she's a she because she had a cute little baby on the back, but I don't have a picture of that in this sample. I think last one we're going to talk about rule of thirds. Here is a shot that Christina shot of me and as we were photographing the cross-country ski race this past February, and again has put me over here in the third section, and it really, with my body facing into the image, it gives this kind of feeling of I'm about to march out into the snowy wilderness to take pictures, and here is that big snowy wilderness. So again, pretty near the third line. Now, this is a rule, and rules are certainly meant to be broken, but it's really nice to know what you're breaking and have a reason for it. And so generally, conforming to a rule of third is going to give you a more powerful image, but there are times where you might want to split things just about in half. And in this example, I did that with shooting this bridge, and you can see my original shot was a little crooked, and then I straightened it up in Lightroom, and it's now just pretty much dead center. The skier is right in the middle third block, right where you want to go if you're playing tic-tac-toe, and it is an image that I'm happy with, that it looks that way. I had some shots of the same skier on the left and the right, and it just didn't quite have the same impact as him right there in the center. Now, let's take just a moment and look at how you can set this up in your camera. So here I am with live view on the T4i, and we have the little focusing dots. Let me point more down at the table so you can see those. We have these focusing dots, and they don't necessarily conform exactly to the rule of thirds, but you can kind of use the inner two on the right-hand side, the inner two on the left-hand side to get your vertical sections. 1, 2, 3. And remember, that's the same as when you're looking through the viewfinder, so you can use those to help you. And the bottom two and the top two for your horizontal sections. You can take it a step further when you're shooting in live view. You can go to menu, you can go to grid display, and choose grid on, and then you see you have those grid lines that you can work with. That is only in live view. Those do not show up in the viewfinder. So that's tonight's quick tip. That is shooting and thinking about the rule of thirds as you're photographing to give your images just a little bit more impact. We can come back and talk about leading lines later. That's always really nice too, to kind of help your viewer, lead your viewer's eye to where you want it to go. Oh, and I teased and I said I was going to talk one more thing. Let's just bring up another image real quick. Let's bring this one up. And that is, when I just talked about the crop a minute ago, I said that you wanted to make sure that, or I wanted to make sure that my conform to the standard ratio was on, the lock. But you know what? If you're not going to be printing images, if you're going to be putting these online, and Instagram certainly has popularized this, feel free to crop at a different ratio. If you wanted a different image that, you know, is much more almost panorama-like, you could certainly do that. It is up to you. And because we can share these images online in whatever aspect ratio makes us happy, feel free to do that. You will run into problems if you want to print. You're going to get borders on the top and the bottom, or the left or the right. But if you're just showing them online, have fun sometimes with your cropping. So that's a little bonus tip. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, just leave a comment down below or come over and find me on Facebook. Thanks for watching.